Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, recording in the kitchen because that's where the TV is, and I'm gonna do some sort of reaction montage of the national final, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in this country. Well, it's at least got as much of a budget as Ireland's junior Eurovision trailer from last year. I mentioned earlier over Facebook, not too happy with the stage because it looks more like a Ukrainian national final, and I was hoping for a more Maltese kind of approach, but I mean, it works for Ukraine, it worked for Germany yesterday, so hopefully it'll work for us. At least I actually don't mind the fork, I'm having dinner while I watch. Mel Gedroych, good choice of presenter because she actually gives a shit about the contest. Just please don't embarrass us because they're streaming this on Eurovision.tv. Oh, it's pronounced Darline? I thought it was Darlene. Well, the audience's initial reactions isn't giving much away, and in a lot of other national finals, that's a dead giveaway. I mean, look at Malta, for instance. Christabel, yay! Daniel Tester, yay! Ira Lusco, yay! We've decided she's going to win! With this? No tells just yet. I like how they're using Eurovision songs as the background music. Being a bit cheap by not writing their own music, but I mean, they've done their research, I suppose. Bearing in mind this is the BBC, and we are going to have to be patient with them.
Now, Katrina has a right to be on our expert panel tonight. She's the one who blew everyone away with love.
That choice of words implies that the other jury members don't deserve to be there. Although, to be fair, one of them is the choreographer behind Still in Love with You, and debatably, maybe not deserving? Question mark? I don't know. I'm not in any position to judge because I liked Still in Love with You.
Almost as gorgeous as Swede with butter and pepper.
Ha! Sweden! Your national demonym is also a word for vegetable in English. Oh, I'm gonna have to sit through Heroes again, aren't I? Now's as good a time as ever to tweet out my most recent LP video, which I was uploading while I started recording this.
It's Mons Zelmerlo.
No thanks. Oh, come on, they still haven't changed the staging? This is exactly what I was criticizing you for. You're literally a one-trick pony. Would it kill you to do something just a little bit different? Just a tiny bit of variety? Christ, are you still here? Incidentally, I would have done this video completely I would have live-streamed this or something, but because it's got the BBC audio in the background, I'm sure it would get flagged immediately, so that's why you're getting an edited highlights reel in post instead, because that's slightly easier to watch anyway.
It's what a Eurovision winner looks like.
Unfortunately.
Sing the hell out of your song.
Great advice.
Okay, I don't like you, but those are some very valid points.
I'm very multi-skilled. Here we go. Have a look at this. They've seen it. That was very quick, wasn't it? I thought it was going to be longer. Doesn't matter. Now,
Why did they not rehearse this show? What kind of message are you sending to Europe by streaming this on Eurovision.tv and showing how badly you haven't rehearsed?
Two things for me tonight, an anthemic song and a singer who can sing in front of 200 million people and not get nervous.
good. Katrina, you won in...
Well, we don't really have an anthemic song in the lineup, but
What did you have?
I'll give my full thoughts in the actual review of the song.
Big and exciting. It just needs to match the song. Mons is a great example of how it matches the song, and he won Eurovision.
Lovely. Thanks
Well,
so much.
you say big and matches the song, but some songs need small staging. Otherwise I'll get lost on the stage. And I'm choking on rice, do pardon me.
I think it's time we get this party started. What do you reckon?
Well, we've only been waiting 15 minutes.
I'd like to say it had a deep meaning, but it's just because I do like candles.
Well, at least he admits it doesn't have a deeper meaning. Okay, that is a rather nice concept for the pre-song postcards.
With When You Go.
So, song number 1, Dulcimer, When You Go. Well, this is cute. I feel like this is the sort of song my mother would like. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just, it's got a banjo and she likes banjos. That was a slightly awkward vocalization there. Sounded a little bit like she was giving birth. Well, I can see why that's a popular entry. but I doubt it'll win the show. There's one person just holding up a piece of paper that says Dulcimer for UK entry. It was pleasant, it was dancey. I can't tell if it sounded weak or if it was just the TV audio. This is why I prefer listening with headphones. Typical British public. You said something I don't agree with. I dislike you. Sounds very familiar, actually.
Just look at what happened with them just now. Like, with all the players up there.
So they cheer when they say something nice, and they boo when they say something critical. Do you want an honest opinion or not? I gotta give them credit for having an online vote, because prior to this, in the UK, we have phone vote or go fuck yourself in Eurovision. We don't have text voting, because I think ITV had some scandal with it in the early 2000s, which permanently ruined it forever for UK TV, so we can't text vote.
A Better Man, and is being performed for you by Matthew James.
Oh god, Matthew James. From what I've heard, this song, A Better Man, is the most dated of the bunch. I'll reserve judgment, I've only heard it once, so see how he does on stage, but I'm not gonna hold my breath for him.
Top of the parts was hysterical.
Surely this is just a huge red flag saying, this is someone who has had their day, give this spot to someone else. I don't mean to insult him, it's just, if his expertise comes from being in a boy band way back when, then that means that he's not as qualified to be a musician in Eurovision now, because he would fit in better in the 90s, or the early 2000s at the very latest, so... See, so far, it reminds me of Kjörma from the German national final yesterday, who said their style was night drive pop. Well, this is like that, but without the electronica. The background does not match at all, darling. It's okay as a song, it just doesn't seem quite right for Eurovision, although I will concede, all 6 of the songs sound like they belong on the radio in the UK, and there isn't a wrong answer, but this is the least right answer. I should reiterate, this isn't bad, it just doesn't seem quite as good as some of the others in the lineup. Oh, that was an unfortunate voice crack, but this is not how I would stage this song at all. Look, I'm sorry mate, but Ireland has already got the ex-boy band, you can tell he's an ex-boy band trying to fit in with the now kind of song covered, and Ireland does it better than this, so maybe not this year or any year hereafter. He looks kind of like, Alex Lark's stunt double, you know, him from Electro Velvet last year. Like him, but less. He just has less face. I mean, there's a line between believing in the song and deluding oneself, but this song definitely wouldn't win if it were chosen. I can guarantee that much.
Inspiring lyrics as well, a really beautiful singing.
Did someone just take a photo of Katrina Leskarich's boobs?
Darline, and the song... And
See, this perplexed me. Is it I suppose it must be Darline, but I just assumed it was Darlene. As I recall, this is one of the favourites. Like this is the outside... There are 2 fan-hyped favourites, and then this is the 3rd outside one that's being hyped by everyone else. I can kind of see why from my first listening of it. The audience is still cheering in the background, so they are probably well aware that this is one of the ones to watch. I like how they're choosing their favourite lyrics as well, because it's nice how they're inspiring confidence in their own songs. That's a really nice touch. As I recall, this is one of the 2 songs that has especially poetic lyrics. And bearing in mind, we're the UK, you should come to expect we should have good lyrics because we speak English natively, so we've got no excuse to flub it up. And also, one of the writers of this song is called Duck, and I think that's incredible. Oh, this is sweet. Okay, that's a relief. They're a duet, but they can harmonise live. That's already inspiring confidence. You know, this song could make me cry, I feel like, but like Happy Tears of Joy? I wouldn't be salty if this won. It reminds me of the 2012 ABU Radio Song Festival, I think. Australia got the Gold Award in that, which meant they came second. With a similar song, Danielle Blakey, Fearless. It reminds me of that, and that was a good song too, so... I like this more than anticipated. This is one of those songs where the staging is absolutely crucial, though. Because this is okay, but they need something a bit more going on, but then again... Common Linnets, 2014. that was down to brilliant cinematography, even though there wasn't much action happening, so they're gonna need to think carefully if they win. But they got plenty to work with, so the only problem is it has that quiet bit that makes you think the song's over, and people will start cheering at that point, but the song's not over. And also, Hold On To Me and I'll Hold On To You sounds an awful lot like the Irish song's lyrics, but I mean, 2007 had 2 songs about cherry pie, so oh, that was nice. Definitely the best song so far. I do like the not black and white, but like beige cream aesthetic they've got going on. It's like an inoffensive yin-yang. Very cute.
Both brilliant soloists.
Lovely. She's being constructive, guys. She's being constructive.
God, the British public are fucking disgusting. Oh, she said something vaguely negative, even though it was constructive criticism. Boo. See, that's one thing that keeps coming up in this criticism. They keep talking about winning. The BBC needs to lose this mentality that second is the first of the losers. Top 15 is great. Top 10 is brilliant. Top 5 is incredible. Top 3 is platinum. Top 1 is pleasant, but it's not a failure if you don't win. We should be aiming to do well, not to do the very best, because let's not run before we can walk. I mean, obviously we should be aiming to win, but we shouldn't be dissatisfied if we finish top 15, 10, 5, 3, whatever. Plus, I mean, look at this show. If they stick with this and keep building on it year after year, then eventually it will turn into a UK Melody Festival, and eventually we will become a juggernaut that can take down Sweden. So, with time and patience, this will be a strong format. Let's just not get ahead of ourselves. One of the fan favourites, as it's called, I wasn't impressed by this one. I get that it's one of those ones where you're not allowed to hate it because it's about a cancer survivor story or something like that, but it's not quite as impressive to me, so we'll just have to see how it does.
But to write it in a way where it can touch other people as well, and
I suppose he gets the idea of writing an empathetic song, which, I mean, credit there, but we'll have to see how it actually sounds on stage. But from the title alone, it does sound like a UK comedy show piss take of a Eurovision song. Please don't just stand there. Don't do a Marco Mengoni. This kind of sounds like a song that Denmark would send in one of their more boring years. But instantly I'm turned away from the song because he's just standing there. You need more to sell a song like this. This by itself isn't good enough. See, as a song, it's okay, and it does sound like it belongs on the radio, but the staging is so boring. It needs more. Not necessarily scantily clad men and women doing weird gymnastics, but it needs something more than just a guy in a suit standing there singing at you. And that's what's frustrating me the most. It could be a good song. It's just missing something. Do something. Anything. Oh, the backing singers stepped forward. That's such thrilling choreography. See, I'm sure if it made it to Stockholm, they would put something together for it, but on a larger stage, just doing this, it would get fucking swallowed up and left behind. You know how I said that other guy looked like Alex Lark but with less face? He looks like Bentley Jones but with less face. Also, less stage presence. See, the song is okay, but it instantly doesn't have anywhere near as much of an impact because there was no staging. That's not enough, friend.
Carl takes you into his world. He makes the stage as small as he wants it to be, and then everyone else feels it. I think
You're supposed to be a professional choreographer. Can't you tell that wasn't enough? Your song's okay, but your staging needs more. Fuck what that other guy says. It's not enough. You can't just rely on your personality. You need more than just standing there in a fucking suit. Ah, Bianca next.
Will prove illuminating.
Oh, the pun is real. But this was my favourite of my preliminary listens. But it's impossible to say. I'll have to see how it translates on stage. Hopefully there is some fucking staging. I mean, they've got a fucking tiny stage. I admit they've not got much space to work with, but, I mean, goddamn. Even the German national final had more choreography than this, and they had the same kind of mini stage to work with. I am aware that this song has some really poetic lyrics in there, which, I mean, you saw my review for Germany. If you're watching this, you probably will have seen my review of Germany, and I praised that for having poetic lyrics. This has got some clever stuff in there, and it was part written by Leona Lewis, so it's already going to be a bit of a favourite with the UK public if they remember who she is, because I mentioned that Jamie Lee Curtis for Germany will have done well with the televoters because she was a The Voice winner. She was the most recent winner of The Voice. Leona Lewis won, Series 2 of the X Factor, and that was how many years ago now? Like 12 years ago? Do people even know who she is? I'm not saying being a big name is important here, it's just, it might give her an advantage, but only if people remember who Leona Lewis is. Anyway, we'll see how this works on stage. But this is an okay song. My favourite upon first listening, but that doesn't really say much. So this reaffirms what I was thinking before. Of the two, I don't want to call them fan wanks, but of the two fan-hyped entries in this selection, this is the better of the two. This is better than Miracle. I think it remains my personal favourite so far. I'm a little bit scared that this will be one of those songs where I listen to it and like it more and more every time, to the point where it sounds like I'm overrating it just because it's my own country. But I'm actually enjoying this the more I hear it. And I could also kind of imagine me singing this as like some sort of drag act, and I don't do drag acts. Very encouraging that all the singers so far this evening can perform live. Because I think the BBC made sure that the national final would necessitate them performing live just to prevent Gemini from happening again. Because that's like the biggest, like this, our nation's greatest failure. Also, how subtle that they're singing about shining a light when Katrina Leskedich is on the jury. So I feel like if, say, Georgia were to send a song like this, they'd probably do better just by virtue of not being the UK, but, like, that's not me saying, oh, no one votes for us because we're the UK. I'm saying, somehow I feel like if Georgia were to send that, they'd get good marks, and I have no idea where that feeling comes from. But goddamn, she can definitely sing. She's definitely my favourite so far. Either her or Darlene, or Darline, I don't know how you pronounce it, but she's my favourite.
Listen, don't trip over. Don't trip over.
Also, that is a gorgeous dress, and I would wear the ever-loving shit out of it if I thought I could get away with it.
Jay.
Oh, she's so happy to be there. So sweet. Calm down, Katrina! She has literally... She's been so enthusiastic that she's blown her own microphone. Don't take that the wrong way. I believe online voters can vote 3 times. So far, I'm thinking 2 for this, 1 for Darlene. This is my favourite. But we've yet to hear song number 6. So I've heard it once, and oh yes, not Drake and Josh. Joe and Jack, something. No, those are my nephews. They'll say in a moment. So we're ending with a song that reminds me of Samir and Victor from Melody Festival, and certainly last year or the year before, whenever it was.
Song number 6 already.
It's sort of the UK answer to something like Groupie, where it's happy, it's poppy, it's 2 guys singing, and it does work. It's probably my 3rd favourite after Bianca and Darlene, Dillinglong. Joe and Jake, that's it. They look kind of like a slightly more handsome version of Dick and Dom. Oh yeah, and they met on The Voice as well. Now, I've got to say, I am impressed, because the UK national final lineup did come under fire for having 6 relatively similar sounding songs, but the way they've organised it this evening, you won't even be able to tell, at least until the recap, I'm sure, but the songs sound sufficiently different when performed on stage, but maybe that's the no headphones effect. I wonder how long this video is going to end up being once I cut out all of the bits where I'm not talking and just watching like a good obedient little viewer. It's slightly worrying that they're referencing The Voice and showing footage from The Voice, and showing how The Voice gets a bigger stage than this. As I've said, with patience, I'm sure, if they keep building on this national final format, as the years go by, it'll get bigger and greater, and it's a good starting point. It is a step forward. The BBC know what they're doing. In Guy We Trust. He looks like one of my flatmates from last year. Good harmonies. Good to hear. Well, it is an accurate representation of the sort of music I'd expect from British males of that age, so... As I said, I trust the BBC's judgment. and it's only going to get better as the years go by. See, that's how you do staging. Take notes, Mr. Lund. See, this is another sort of thing I'd expect from Denmark. I do like the aesthetic they've got going in the background as well. I do like that sort of shit. Reminds me of the Gravity Falls finale, but I won't say any more because spoilers. Oh, that's good. At that point, they could so very easily have fucked up that note and it would have sounded awful, but no, they nailed it, so... Once again, they can all perform live. Well done, BBC. I think that is probably the most infectious pop song of the 6. Because, like, out of all of them, I felt the most compelled to start singing along with this one. But Bianca remains my favourite. This is my third favourite, and got Darline, Darlene, Delinglong in the middle. That's what I'm just gonna call them if they win. Darlene, Darline, Delinglong.
Would you do a sort of Bucks Fizz, one rips off the other's trousers?
Oh, control your lady boner, Mel.
Yeah, come on, we can't get that. Out of our head.
Yes, it's very catchy.
Just as long as Katrina never makes that noise again.
Yeah, it's a winner.
Okay. I wouldn't say it's a winner. But I mean, if Basim could get, 8th in 2014, I guess this would do not badly. I have to say, I am very pleased with how the BBC's carried off this national final so far, because it could have been a lot cheesier, it could have been a lot worse, the production values could have been a lot lower, they could also have been a lot higher, could have been better, but this is the first national final that we've had for several years, so they want to start safe, and they're going to get more audacious in the coming years, assuming this goes well enough. And I'm hoping that this becomes the established format, because, as I've said, with time and patience, this could become the British Melody Festival that the fans have been clamouring for.
My daughters are at home watching. I'm the bill payer. I'm giving you permission. You can vote. Off you go.
I appreciate the sense of humour, but I suspect a lot of people watching on Eurovision.tv won't get that reference. Well, it's not really a reference, it's more of a British humour. Then again, I got a lot of the German humour in the German national final, so maybe. And the Germans were fucking funny, to be fair. Like, they legitimately knew how to put on a show.
Open.
Well, that wasn't very dramatic. But the voting should now be open, so...
That was nice.
I'm voting live, by the way. Bianca, vote now. Oh, it's only one vote per person. Well, I voted for Bianca, I've done my part. I could run back into my room and get my phone and just spam the phone lines, but... This shit isn't cheap, and I'm a student, so... Oh, that's one thing that I fucking hate about the British commentators, and they haven't learned the lesson here. Don't talk over the recap. It's there so we can hear the songs. We know how to vote. We can read the screen. Don't tell me to call number 02 or whatever, because I fucking know it says on screen. We're supposed to be listening to the music, and you are talking over it. I mean, I get I'm being hypocritical, but I mean, this is a reaction video. It's not like you're watching the show live along with me, because I'm not broadcasting this live. I do find it funny, though, how they have to put a little extra line on the recap thing saying, don't vote if watching on demand, because the British public really are that stupid. I'm not taking the piss, they really are. Send help! I'm thinking off the top of my head. Bianca first favourite, Darlene second, or Darlene. I'm not going to stop calling them Darlene. I think Joe and Jake third. And then I've forgotten the other three. Bodes well, I'm sure. But yeah, I voted for Bianca, I've done my part. She's my favourite, and if she's not your favourite, that's completely fine, because that's how democracy works. Interval act time. It's funny, because in the German national final, their interval act was a vignette about other interval acts. I'm guessing they're basically doing the same thing here.
The view of Eurovision looks something like this.
Where are they going with this? Because it sounds like they're taking the piss. Don't do it, BBC.
Then where have you been for the past few years?
Oh.
Time to cast away those old cliches and take a look at how more recent acts have used not
Thank you, BBC. Thank you. This is the sort of approach we need.
world's biggest live entertainment event.
Destroy the negative mental images that Wogan put about. Fuck the Prada.
Of the Eurovision Song Contest.
That was a reference to the Czech song from last year. But thank fuck the BBC are doing a thing saying, look, Eurovision is not what it used to be. Wogan spread lies even at the time, but what he's said is now even less relevant. Look at what Eurovision is now. Stop thinking about how it was. thank you for doing this, BBC, because the British public need this seriously hammering into their heads.
With a pyrotechnic curtain, full stage use, and camera angles.
Pyrotechnic curtain, that's the official term. I wrote a dissertation a couple of years ago about Eurovision. I referred to it as a golden shower, completely unironically. But I don't understand why Azerbaijan won in 2011. Oh, fuck. Thank you, Emily DeForest, for raising the tone the following year. I mean, it's a bit predictable, but at least it wasn't a... At least people weren't told to like it. You see, that's an important point to note. Yes, she was just standing there, but with the gestures that made all the difference. But there was so much more to her performance than just her standing there. Carl William Lund, take fucking notes! Don't just stand there unless you've got something to back it up! And then it's overrated Swedish winner number 2. Well, of this century anyway. It's nothing new. There was literally nothing original about Sweden's song last year.
All you've got to do is choose the perfect staging, lighting and song, and then have a compelling artist with massive stage presence deliver it impeccably. A doddle.
That was my dissertation in a nutshell.
Talents of Brian Harvey and songs including Barbie Girl and...
Be careful, Mel, because people are watching on Eurovision.tv and they will not understand anything of what you're saying right now. I was thinking, surely they're not going to perform last year's entry, not because it was bad, because I enjoyed it, but just, typically in a national final they perform last year's entry, but Germany didn't, I wonder why. We haven't, I wonder why, but we've got our last winner. I suppose they're getting people into the right mindset. The idea that winning is the objective, but if we don't, we haven't failed. It's funny, the first time I heard this song, like the very first time, I didn't like it. But then every subsequent time, I did. Don't know what the deal there was. Also, it totally blew my mind to discover that she was the same artist behind Walking on Sunshine. Oh my god, they actually know the words! I mean, I'm surprised that they're singing along, the audience, that is, but I'm more surprised that they know the words, because I roll back to 2010, where I've heard horror stories of, during the final of 2010, there were people from all over Europe in the audience singing along with the various entries, and then you got to the UK song, and the UK people were just standing there awkwardly like, I don't know the words. Then again, in the national final that year, at least one of the artists forgot the words to that very same song mid-performance anyway, and who could blame her, to be quite honest? But we've moved past that. It feels so foreign to look at someone and think, yes, they were a winner for the United Kingdom, and they still hold up today as a song that could feasibly inspire, I suppose, because our other 4 winners were kind of Schlager, and then this is... gospel Schlager? But it still sounds good. The other ones sound... like, this has aged better than any of our other winners. Well, so far, anyway. I tip my hat to you, Madam Leskanich. I hope we do have another artist from the 21st century that we can revere in the same way. Hopefully by this time next year, but... sometime before 2020. Because I have predicted in the past that the UK's next victory will come before 2020. Time's running out, BBC!
Of course we can, and we should. We have everything we need.
She certainly knows how to rally the people, and I applaud that, he says, giving it a thumbs up. Okay, so the winning look is apparently, I'm gonna gouge your eyes out!
Tess of Eurovision, Katrina.
Oh, she said Eurovision, everyone take a drink. Oh, that's basically what I would do. If Mel Gedrich put an arm around me and said, stay on stage with me, I would just be like, cat boop.
6 minutes left to vote.
See, I could run and grab my phone, but like I said, that shit's expensive. See, now I'm kind of torn. Bianca's definitely my first favourite. Darline is my second. Joe and Jake is my third. Dulcimer's my fourth. Matthew James is my fifth. And Lund kind of... I want to like it, but it is missing so much by just him standing there. All the other artists have at least something going for them on stage. Matthew James, walking around, engaging with the audience. Joe and Jake, again, engaging with the audience. Darline, whatever, interacting with each other. Bianca, and Dulcimer, they all have something, but Lund just standing there. that's standing out in the worst possible way. All the others have at least something to back up what they're singing, and he's just standing there being boring. All the songs are fine and they can be performed live. Like, the staging is the thing that's going to change the most between now and Stockholm, so...
622 52 05 or from your landline call 09.
Like I said, there are no wrong answers, but some are distinctly righter than others. Bianca, for instance. See, that's one thing that I don't like with national finals. I always watch them and I get invested and I pick a favourite, and then I get super salty when my favourite doesn't win. It's funny, the staging of Joe and Jake's song, like, the heart embellishments on the stage remind me of Bulgaria's song from Junior Eurovision 2015, but the background reminds me of Little Mix's performance of, Please Don't Stop the Music, I think, from the X Factor however many years ago when I still watched that.
Of one man, Sir Terry Wogan.
No. He insulted the contest. He is the reason why you need to rebuild the contest reputation in this country in the first place. All he did was sit there, get drunk, and insult the songs. I'm not going to give him preferential treatment because he's dead. I had this opinion anyway, and I'm not going to be nicer or less nice. It's just, all he did was insult the contest, and he is why everyone says, oh, political voting, blah, blah, blah. That's why everyone takes the piss. That's why the BBC are having to do all this, to rebuild the opinions of the British public, because he insulted it into the ground in the first place. They had to issue an apology to Denmark's radio in 2001 because they called the hosts Dr. Death and the Tooth Fairy. How can you praise a man who gets the broadcaster into that much shit? Oh yeah, and that was the thing. He never obeyed the golden rule of song has started, shut the fuck up. All I'm saying is, don't blindly praise him just because he did his job for so many years, because he did his job badly and in an incredibly toxic way, to the point where he ruined the contest for the British public for so many years. It's going to take a lot of doing to erase his influence. So please don't just blindly celebrate him.
Is now closed.
Okay, the votes are closed. Time for some results.
And he was just the most encouraging man.
He taught people that it was okay to take the piss out of the contest, that the whole thing was a joke, that we never stood a chance because politics, and so we should just send joke entry after joke entry and laugh at the rest of Europe for being so esoteric and queer as folk. Like, that's not okay. Oh, they're talking about the 60th anniversary concert. I was there. I think you could see the corner of my head for all of less than a second when Lordi are performing. No, after? I don't know, the point is I was there. So you're just going to rerun Brotherhood of Man's performance? Because it does kind of highlight what I was saying before, that UK winners don't age well unless they're Katrina Leskadic or from the 21st century, but since we don't have any 21st century winners, Katrina Leskadic is the only winner that's aged well music-wise. I mean, yes, we have nostalgia for that song, but it sounds very much a product of its time. And it should sort of say, it's cute. On a bad day it could make me cry because of how sweet it is. But it has not aged well. Also, it was during that show that Lorene's performance, it looked like she'd washed her hair with raw eggs. It did disappoint me that Herries, or Hoorays, or however you're supposed to stress it, it did make me sad they performed in English, because I only know the Swedish version. Which is ironic, considering I don't... Like, that's the only Swedish winner that I like. And I only know the Swedish version, despite the fact that I think that a lot of Sweden's entries tend to be overrated, but I only know the original version. And they sang it in English. And I felt very left out. Okay, now that they performed in Norwegian, I could sing along, because again, I only knew the Norwegian version of the song. Those are nice outfits, but just like the song, it hasn't aged well, but it was still fun. I wonder if Europe Scalaway particularly vividly remembers that I was actually screaming the lyrics in her ear from right next to her. I don't even want to think about how big these recording file sizes are. I've been going non-stop for an hour and 22 minutes so far, and I think this show is 90 minutes long. Well, they really are just padding at this point. To be fair, Malta 2015 recycled a lot of shit from the Junior Eurovision from the previous year. Because they hosted in 2014. They recycled the interval acts, the stage, everything in their national final the following year, so it's not the first time they've done this in the national final. I do remember at the end of that show, once all the acts had performed, once the show had officially finished, they had they started playing some, like, quieter. They played a song called The Party's Over, and I thought, wow, passive-aggressive much. Basically their way of saying, look, we're playing music, now get the fuck out. Oh yeah, in that final lineup, Loreen was nowhere to be seen. She had literally fucked off before the end of the show, and this amused me greatly. Still don't understand why Petra made a changed dress halfway through that show, because I really liked the red one. Okay, results time at last.
Paul and Mary have decided that this week's Star Baker is...
People internationally won't get that.
Joe and Jake. Congratulations, Joe and Jake. You are the people's choice.
Well, I didn't see that coming. I was fully expecting either Bianca so I could be happy, or Carl William Lund so I could be slightly, but that was unexpected. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the last time an act like that finished badly. And since they can perform live,
we're going to get to know these two very
they understand the honor.
Which one's Joe and which one's Jake?
This is important.
I'm Joe, and I'm Jake.
They will remember.
There we go. Well, I'm genuinely surprised, but I'm not unhappy, because they engage with the audience. They have a song that's got that memorable hook, so I can't complain, honestly. I would have preferred Bianca, but that is a little... Like, it's more dated than this, and this is adequately modern. It's adequately representative of the current generation of music, so I can't complain, all things considered.
To be honest, if I could grow one, I would, but this is about as good as it gets for me, so...
Well, it's got personality, that's a good sign. I'm here's hoping this is the start of a very strong tradition of building on this process each subsequent year. Because, like, my original prediction is we're going to finish anywhere between 8th and 18th. But, honestly, it was a surprise that they won, so they could surprise us in Stockholm. I'm legitimately surprised. And I just realised I forgot to tell Europe Scalloway I was going to be doing this video, so she's probably wondering why I haven't been live Facebooking her throughout all this. Well, they put on an adequate show, considering this is the BBC, so...
On the 10th and 12th of May...
I'm feeling good about the BBC's approach. So, hopefully, next year, the year after, we're going to see some very big improvements for the UK. Hopefully. Come to think of it, it really suits this year's theme, well, slogan of come together, so... yeah, I can't complain. Plus, really encouraging to see that they can still perform live pitch perfectly, even when they're affected by nerves and stuff. Because, like, oh my god, we won, emotions running high, but they're still on point. That's very encouraging. Now, my concerns are this lends itself really well to staging in Stockholm. But there's also a horrible, horrible risk of them having too much of an energetic choreography, meaning that they might run out of breath on stage, which I've said before, really not a good time. So, I expect good things, but they should be careful. More thorough analysis in my actual review video, of course. Well, that is show. Well done, BBC. You've surprised me in more than one way. So... just turn the TV down. I have been and will continue to be Tessellating Hexagons, and... see you in Stockholm, fellas.